I'm Emily. It is my honor to be your moderator for this section. First of all, I would like to thank everyone to joining our first ever virtual ALSA Malaysia training workshop in collaboration with ALSA UITM, ALSA IIUM, and ALSA USIM. This year's AMTW theme, COVID-19, the loss, versatility, and adversity, is inspired by how the COVID-19 pandemic has cast many industries, including the legal profession, into the uncharted industry. Before we start, I would like to remind all the participants to always mute their microphone to avoid any disturbance throughout the section. You may leave your camera on. I highly encourage the participant to relay your concerns and questions for the panelists in the chat box for the question and answer at the end of the section. May I briefly introduce to our first panelist, Ms. Puteri Sofia Aminuddin. Ms. Puteri Sofia Aminuddin is a senior law lecturer and a program director for Master of Law program at Taylor University and was a visiting scholar at University of Reading and University of Leeds. In 2017, she was awarded with Exemplary Meritorious Award Staff. In 2018, she was awarded with a Gold Award and Most Innovative Award from University of Malaya for redesigning the formative assessment for English Landlord. In 2019, she was a recipient of Gold Award for teaching law using the Augmented Reality, Neurolinguistic Programming, and also Gamification. She was a recipient of the President's Award for Transformative Teaching and Learning, being the highest award conferred by the President of Taylor University. Recently, she has been recognized as MIA 17 Rising Personalities on LinkedIn in Malaysia in 2020 by Marketing in Asia. Spectacular. Looking gorgeous today. How are you feeling today, Ms. Puteri?
I'm feeling great. Thank you so much.
Right. So, of course, our second panelist, Mr. Raphael Kopp. Mr. Raphael, a former civil litigation counsel, has appeared before the Malaysian court at all levels. He left practice to join Shell legal team. In 2014, he was awarded as the Malaysian In-House Lawyer of the Year by ASEAN Legal Business. Presently, Raphael teaches law at the University of Malaya. He has published several journal and online articles. Mr. Raphael remains active in the moting circuit, both as a coach and judge. He has steered teams in international rounds of Philip C. JSR International Law Moot Court Competition, Prize Media Law Moot Court Competition, International Maritime Law Arbitration Moot, Law Asia International Moot, and Asia Cup. In his free time, he blogs about the law, love, and life. That is interesting. Mr. Raphael, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, so thank you, Mr. Raphael. So in the absence of information and the reassurance of how we should cope with the pandemic going on, we tend to lead to the worst scenarios. So we thought this section will help us all achieve clarity on what is known vs what is speculation or even exaggeration. This is an important topic that is affecting many of our students. So we are honored to create this panel to discuss and address the challenge that both undergrad and the lecturer are facing during the pandemic and to suggest possible solutions or tips to embrace the new changes. So let us hear what Ms. Puteri has to say about this issue. As a lecturer yourself, perhaps Ms. Puteri has your own insight from a different perspective?
Yes, with regards to the how law students can embrace all the changes just like how President Salim Bashir has mentioned, that the legal profession is experiencing a lot of digitalization as well as the introduction and use of artificial intelligence. So it's good if law students can also be receptive towards a new type of learning as well as gain as many new skills as possible, especially in challenging times such as now.
Right. So without further ado, Miss Puteri, you want to share the screen, is it?
Yes, that would be great. But yeah, so I'll just share my screen first. And thank you so much everyone for having me as one of the panelist session. So my presentation today is on how law student who is currently studying can try to utilize this time to gain new skills which are not offered by the school. So it's good if you can attend as many workshops and learn as many new tricks in order to make sure that you're competitive when embarking in the future world of work. So my name is Ms. Puteri Sophia. I'm a senior lecturer as well as program director for Master of Laws program. Because I hold two hats, so I understand the concerns expressed by students because students share with the lecturer. As a program director, I also understand the concerns shared by the top lawyers in Malaysia because we have an industry panel where lawyers will share the feedback with regards to employing fresh grad. So hence the reason we'll try to keep updating our syllabus, keep updating our teaching methods to ensure that what we learn, students will gain benefit from it and then gain all these skills when they embark on their future world of work. So apart from implementing all types of teaching pedagogies, as we have heard earlier, when I teach law, I utilize augmented reality. I also use Neurolinguistic Programming, and I also use gamification and also LinkedIn. So because from the perspective of the students, what they know when it comes to reading law is that it's just reading or memorizing. So when it comes to learning about new things, they become very skeptical. So I've experienced all of this. So whatever new techniques that I introduce, I'll get students to provide feedback and to ensure that it is effective. So I also publish all the findings in journals as well, so that lecturers from around the world, they can also tweet in terms of how they teach law, and also they publish and I can learn from each other. So I've also done a survey, but this survey is confined to all Taylor's law students with regards to their perception and experience studying law at university. This was done before COVID-19. So I've managed to gather feedback from year 1, year 2, year 3 with regards to learning spaces at Taylor's University, if they feel that the learning spaces provided by university is sufficient to equip them to work in a law firm or anywhere else in the future. So when we gather feedback with regards to their preparedness, majority of the students felt that the courses, the modules that we teach students are sufficient. But when it comes to learning spaces like library, moot court, or legal aid, or collaborative classroom, or even any individual self-study room, cafeteria, everything else. So they felt like all of these learning spaces are not sufficient to provide them with the relevant soft skills. So they just feel that the purpose of having university and all these learning spaces is for students to learn and nothing more than that. But because this study was done by myself, the head of school, Dr. Hamahinder, as well as Dr. Jason, who's now in Asia Pacific University. So when we scrutinize the data, we analyze, then we realize the reason why students feel that the learning spaces are insufficient is because they have never done internship before. So if you have no experience in terms of working in the real world, so when you come at university and you learn, you are unable to compare. So you're not sure what is your expectation. So that's the finding that we managed to get from this research itself. So it's not necessary, I wouldn't say the fault of university, because the university have provided with the sufficient learning spaces for students. It's just that students will need to take the extra advantage, the extra step to embark on internship, even though for a while, so that they will have this realistic expectation that working in a law firm it's not only limited to working at a cubicle or going to court. They'll also utilize Zoom, Webex, Google Meet, as well as Microsoft Teams to collaborate with a lot of lawyers internationally. So it involves a lot of virtual collaboration and a lot of use of technology as well. So hence I embark on augmented reality because I teach English and law. So English and law is one of the driest and challenging module. Every semester students, they really don't like this module because not only they learn about land law, but this English land law, something that is totally not related to them. So if you know Pokemon Go, so the concept of augmented reality is similar to Pokemon Go, except when you learn law, you're not looking for Pokemon, you're searching for law. So I tweak my teaching method, so I get students to get up from the classroom and learn law outside the classroom. So this is what augmented reality learning looks like.
Follow me! Amazing Race, Landlord, and Internships. So now I will reveal the answer to the whole race.
6. Dominant land and ascendant land are held by different people.
Created after 13 October.
Good. I would like to thank Ms. Puteri for creating such an amazing race. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
So this is actually an example of flipped classroom, where if you notice in the docket, it actually only contains like riddle. So in order for students to find out what's the legal issue, so they need to really work in groups and to find the answer to this particular riddle. And they need to ask people, strangers, faculty office, in order to assist them. So students are only given 1.5 hours to do this. So this actually encourages students to really think outside the box, really work under the pressure, and also how they support each other when they feel in challenging times during that particular time itself, because it's not that difficult to find the issue. So once you have find the issue, you need to go to the library, learn a particular law, and make a presentation on your finding with regards to the legal issues presented to the students. And subsequently, students are also required to create their own augmented reality posters. So this is an example of students' work with regards to freedom of information during that time, because Nurul Izzah was introducing or calling for Freedom of Information Act. So students make presentation on this, and then I'll showcase students' work and invite all prominent speakers to come and view students' posters. So they're also able to experience the effect of augmented reality. So the learning outcomes of having augmented reality goes beyond than just students having fun. It actually stimulates students' creative thinking, that learning law is not necessarily listening to lectures in the classroom, but students can actually challenge themselves, take that extra mile or extra step to learn by themselves, to work in groups, and then present what they have found to strangers, not even to myself. So my role is just to view the journey of students on how they learn independently. So students' basic learning outcomes will also be assessed. It inspires students to innovate, because when it comes to presentation, it's no longer presentation in class, but it involves presentation in front of a stranger, as well as the use of technology. And it's good because this is like a training ground for students to be receptive in terms of the use of augmented reality, the use of technology, which are goes beyond than just memorizing statute or cases. So I've also introduced Neurolinguistic Programming. So what is Neurolinguistic Programming? Essentially, it is a psychological method or approach on how a person can actually analyze the thoughts of someone, the words used by another person, as well as their patterns of behavior to determine how a student can actually present themselves or pitch their idea within 5 seconds in order to get a favorable outcome on part of the student itself. So it's not only limited to law students. Actually, this is something utilized by a lot of presidents, members of the parliaments, a lot of politicians, a lot of top-notch leaders. So when I learned about this, that's where I introduced it in my module so that law students can also equip themselves with this skill so that they become more confident when it comes to presentation. So how I do it in class, LASA in campus, is something like this. So the purpose of this activity is that I'll assess their eye contact, I'll even assess how they move their hands, I'll also assess how they move their shoulders, how they move their body. And they are given 30 seconds to do it in front of different students. So students themselves will know, okay, if I lean back, it will demonstrate or it will imply that I'm not interested in the conversation. So I need to lean forward. So there's a lot of involvement of mirroring of behavior. So this is good because when they practice this and when they attend conferences, they are very confident when it comes to approaching lawyers or approaching anyone, even though in their hearts they feel very nervous or intimidated, they have no idea what to talk to lawyers about. So this actually builds up students' confidence level. So, and I also done a lot of research, right? So I came across this article with regards to World Economic Forum. For law students to graduate with just a law degree is not sufficient because the world is changing. We're talking about fourth industrial revolution. We're talking about artificial intelligence, about digitalization, which means whatever knowledge that you have is not sufficient anymore because you have all this AI can do a lot of junior lawyers' work. So when we look at the trending skills in 2020, they look for analytical thinking and innovation. So that's why I introduced augmented reality. They also talk about active learning. So that's why I introduced learning outside the classroom, creativity, originality. So these are all the skills where in the past, it's not so much relevant, but in the future, these are what employers are looking for. And I've also introduced gamification. So gamification ultimately is a game mechanics. It's not necessarily playing games or PS Box or all those types of games using game console, but it's just that game elements. When you play games, you want to collect as many points, right? You want to win, you want to challenge, you want to fight, you want to, I wouldn't say kill anyone, but it's just that feeling of winning or achieving something. So that's why I introduced it in my class so that students can assume different role when they learn law. Not necessarily as a law student, sometimes they feel like they're in a journey like Indiana Jones. Sometimes they feel like they're on a mission to solve this particular mystery, but ultimately they are learning law. So what gamification looks like, so I'll show you in this video. For Landlord 1 tutorial, I have a virtual landlord store. So this is where you can accumulate as many points as possible. Underground shelter, fully fitted kitchen, you have find keepers, gold coins, cat rabbit.
The one that you said it's like invalid these days.
And also Hasha, so you'll get 12. Also in the fourth paragraph, what will be writing? Or you want to use your lifeline?
I don't want my mark to be deducted, but yeah.
Oh, didn't you? 10 points will be deducted. Who would like to unmute themselves?
Miss, can I try? I want to earn back my 10 points. Yeah.
Okay, Jordan, would you like to get back your points?
I think orchids as well, miss.
Okay, so these are items considered as chattels. Feel free to ask, otherwise I'll see all of you again on Monday. And thank you so much everyone for your participation.
Thank you.
So as you can see, it involves a lot of competition in the classroom for students to actually answer, to demonstrate that they have come prepared for tutorial sessions. So it's good because the classroom becomes really engaging by utilizing gamification. So I'll record students' participation in each week so that throughout the semester, they themselves can see their performance. And if they notice that their points are low, so they know themselves, I don't have to tell, that they need to buckle up in terms of their participation. So another example to get students move around the house is like this. Hi everyone, my name is Miss Sophia and I'm on a secret excavation mission sent by Mr. Hamahinder. I'm supposed to retrieve this particular hidden treasure, but I just realized that the item is not located here. Right? Based on the information that I've received, that the item is actually located at your current place. So which means I need all of you to stand up and search for this object. So that's when students will start standing up and then find this object, and then they have to demonstrate if they find it, if wrong, so they need to keep finding it. So it's good because when it comes to virtual learning, it's not necessary just sitting down and then not switching on their camera and just listen to everything. So you also get students to analyze their surrounding as well, because when we learn law is actually everywhere around us. So this is an example of how I utilize gamification as well. And last video is actually students' assignment. So because of the MCO, I realized a lot of students, they feel lost, they feel frustrated because they are unable to go to campus. So me and another lecturer from another faculty, we team up and then we came up with a new innovation to motivate students to learn law even though they are learning law remotely. So if you're ready, so this is a video that I would like to show. Dear agents, congratulations for passing through various stages of security to reach at this particular phase. This assignment requires you to critically assess. Very happy to know that all of you have arrived at this stage where you can create your very own augmented reality poster in the name of your team members. Website, so select. I am glad that all of you have reached at this stage is the score sheet. Score sheet, your delivery will become more impactful as well. You must always remember to reference. The most important thing that students need to do is to refer to the marking guide. If I can do it, so that's all. That's how law students at Taylor's Law School actually learn law, and it is good that students actually feel very motivated to attempt the assignment question because it's no longer retrieving the assignment question from the LMS Moodle or Blackboard. So students will need to download that app and then they need to attempt few quizzes in order for them to demonstrate their basic knowledge. Even if they don't know that basic knowledge, they cannot proceed to the next step to unlock the secret mission itself. So students, throughout that particular session itself, students are engaged in order to retrieve the assignment question. So for all of the students there, not to worry. So at this current time, there are a plethora of webinars with regards to how law students can actually gain new skills. So not to worry about the future so much, because I truly believe for you to embark on the future world of work is for you to create something new for yourself, and then you go and sell that new skills to the employer, because the best way to predict the future is to create it. So I would also like to invite all of you to follow up with me or to get in touch with me on LinkedIn. So I've provided them my LinkedIn address. So if you would like to learn about more innovations, feel free to get in touch with me. So that's all. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Puteri. So I totally agree with you. I especially love it when you say that the augmented reality, neurolinguistic programming, and also gamification method to teach law. I think this is really a creative and imaginative teaching method, and I'm pretty sure that those will help the student a lot. So after that, let's just proceed to the next speaker. So, Mr. Raphael, means you work closely with students. How do you think they are coping with this pandemic, and how would you guide them in overcoming this challenge?
Thanks, Emily. So first of all, I sit in a unique position, as in I'm a teacher, but I'm also a student because I'm taking a course at my own university this semester. So I totally understand some of the concerns that most of you have in terms of resources and technical limitations. So that's what I would present further on. Yes, so I will proceed, Emily.
Yes, you can proceed. So, thank you, Mr. Raphael.
Yes, so I'm very happy that Puteri has given you the look of the future, a very positive side of it, and it's very inspirational, and that's something to look forward to. I will play as the bad cop a bit, and I will touch on the dark side, or the negative part of this entire pandemic. So I actually thought long and hard what to put in my slides and my videos, but then I came to realization that I should put myself in the shoes of most of the students. And I realized going through my own class that some people have connectivity problem, the devices are not really compatible with software. Putri, I note that your class uses Zoom, which I fully endorse. Unfortunately, my university is stuck with Teams, and I'm not sure how many of you all are using Teams. It's horrible. It's the video is laggy. Ultimately, everyone just disables the video function, and the entire lecture ends up as a podcast. And unfortunately, as much as the lecturers or myself want to, we cannot run those presentations on Teams. So actually, I take all my lessons on Zoom. But for administrative, bureaucratic reasons, some lecturers still stick to Teams. So yeah, I do understand that there's a lot of technical difficulties that most of you all still face. So that's why for my session, I just want to go to the other side of the extreme by not going through slides, just speaking to you, and I'll let you know the structure of my presentation. I've actually put it in chat. And this is something that I utilize a lot in my teaching sessions, because some of the students, they have problems viewing the video, the share screen function doesn't work. And I always prepare all these nice slides, but it kind of become wasted because they don't get across. And what I actually realized is that the most effective communication that I can make with some of the students is actually through the chat itself. So I think that the first lesson that I think I want to impart with you is that please don't be afraid by all the technical constraints that you may have. and also be patient with some of the lecturers. You know, I think Taylor's very fortunate to have someone like Puteri, who's very futuristic thinking, forward thinking, but I'm sure most of you have lecturers who are like me, you know, maybe not so tech savvy, a bit slow to adapt to new technologies. So please be patient in lecturers, and you can always, you know, advise them on how they should change their teaching functions and all that. And in fact, earlier this week, I was involved in a class where the lecturer, I mean, I won't mention names, and it's not the lecturer's fault, took about 30 minutes just to set up the share screen. It's probably Teams, you know, Teams is terrible, you know. 30 minutes, you know, just wasted on setting up the share screen and going back and forth. The lecturer, oh, can you see it now? Let me try something else. It's very frustrating. So I don't know, but perhaps I think most of you all have experienced that, perhaps in the first few weeks of the semester. I think things will improve over time. So yes, as a student, I do understand some of your frustrations with technology. So yes, that's the technical problem that we face during this pandemic, this online learning. The other is, I believe, is academic. Academic in a sense that the syllabus and assessment has been modified in some of the universities, I believe. For instance, I believe now most universities do not have final exams. They're switching more to continuous assessment. Some students might prefer that, some students might not. If it's an online test, you have to submit 24 hours. Some students would face technical problems with uploading or researching. So the academic aspect of your semester, while this online environment is ongoing, can be quite challenging for some of you, or at the very least, it requires you to switch your kind of learning regime. And the third problem is social, which is you don't have the same interaction with the lecturers. If you have a lecturer like Puteri, I think it's amazing. I mean, she comes with all these recorded sessions and all these fun games and that. But again, I'm not, you know, slighting majority lectures, but you know, most lectures, I'm sure, are not like Puteri. You know, they are not so tech savvy, and so they are struggling with technology, and it's not their fault, you know. So yeah, they're struggling a bit on the social interaction part. Sometimes they, you know, they have even problems like trying to multitask between speaking on video and looking at the chat and all that. So yeah, the social interaction between lecturers and students suffers a bit. The other aspect to that is interactions between students. Yes, you have all these chat groups and whatever virtual platform your university is using, Moodle or whatever. But I guess it's not the same as, you know, physical interaction, meeting up, you know, somewhere nice by Taylor's lakeside under a tree, you know, sunlight. So it's not the same. So I understand that it might feel a bit bleak, you know, just studying from your home and just talking, discussing your studies with your peers through Zoom. And I mean, there's a lot of studies, articles done about Zoom fatigue, you know, or online communications fatigue. And I think, you know, most of us are feeling it. But I don't want to dwell too much about problems. I just want to talk about the opportunities that are open for you. And these opportunities may not be so obvious, and it needs a bit searching to find them, but they are out there. In fact, I would even say that because of the pandemic, it presents more opportunities. It provides a silver lining. It opened doors where previously none existed. So first of all, internship. Okay, I think President Salim and Puteri has touched about this as well, about how, yes, the employment market is somewhat bleak for young lawyers and perhaps fresh graduates. But the upside to it, and this is from my conversations and from my dealings with lawyers in practice, law firms are more keen to hire paralegals, interns. I mean, it's purely a cost-cutting exercise, don't hire lawyers, utilize more paralegals and interns. So what this means is that the immediate beneficiaries are the students. Of course, you eventually need to graduate and you eventually need to get a job and a pupillage position. But okay, putting aside that, here and now, you are actually one of the lucky beneficiaries of the pandemic. And I know a lot of law firms who are out there looking for interns. And you may be wondering, but yeah, we can't intern now, we have classes. No, I mean, a lot of law firms are fine with having part-time interns, and even more progressive ones. I mean, there are some conservative law firms, but the more progressive law firms, they actually allowed interns, paralegals to work from home. And in fact, a lot of law firms actually are working from home. Yes, there is the CMCO, but even like outside the CMCO, a lot of law firms are being very cautious. And so in a sense that this pandemic, of course, there are more negatives than positives, but one unintended positive is that it has forced law firms to realize that, hey, working from home, flexi hours is possible. And so I think there are internship opportunities out there. I think some law firms have publicized it on social media and all that. If you're really interested, you can get in touch with me. I'll share my contact later. But I'm telling you, there is a lot of internship opportunities. It's just a matter of whether you want to do it now, during the semester, part-time, The second opportunity is research. And when I say research, I mean research and publication. So research is the most basic. You help a lecturer to research. You become a research assistant. So I believe most universities, the lecturers, they have research grants and all that, and they're able to hire research assistants. So if you have that opportunity, take it. Or you can do your own research project. You can do your own publications. Of course, if you're ambitious enough, you can try to aim to write for a journal article, maybe even Harvard Law Review or, Oxford. But even if that's, too high of a bar, you can just settle with online publications. My university has a portal where they allow students to post articles. I mean, it's not journal articles, but it's still something, So this is, I think, is a very good opportunity now that you're home, now that you have more time. I mean, you definitely save time. You don't have to travel. You just have to wake up 5 minutes before the lecture. So you actually save a lot of time through virtual learning. So the extra time you can think about going beyond, your syllabus. Write an article, or maybe if some of your universities offer, take up a research. I don't know what you all call it, but it's like a mini thesis. So some universities, I believe, offer that. So I think that's a good. Now is a good time, to take up such a research course and publish an article. So the third opportunity is conferences like this. So last night I was actually in a conference, attending a conference, not speaking, at 11:30 p.m. and it ended, or at least the first session ended at 1 o'clock, and then there was a second session, but I had to sleep just in case I don't miss this session. So I was attending a very late night session because it was a conference hosted in Europe. So yeah, because of the time zone difference, that's why it started 11:30 for me. If not because of the pandemic, the conference would have been physical, would have been live. It wouldn't be online. I mean, on hindsight now, we can kind of do both a live conference and virtual. But if not the pandemic, that conference would have been totally live. I would not have been able to attend that conference. Unfortunately, yeah, lecturers like me and Puteri, we don't earn enough to fly for conferences. I mean, every month or so. So again, that's the silver lining of the pandemic. It has made us realize that, hey, we can have seminars as webinars. We can open it to everyone around the world. Yeah, we're not constrained by geography. So there are a lot of conferences out there hosted by AIC, SIC. You can maybe one of you can start up actually a website who lists all these conferences. I think that's an amazing idea. I would subscribe to it. Yeah, so it takes some searching to find all these conferences. Because the conference I attended, the website is actually not even in English. Of course, you can Google translate it. That's the amazing thing about technology. Yeah. So keep an eye out for conferences. There are a lot of conferences, and the other amazing thing about this virtual environment is that these conferences are able to get speakers that they would not otherwise get. Again, it's because of travel and timing, because when you have a live conference, the speakers must be willing to travel. And most of the speakers, they travel at their own cost, so a virtual conference is actually more accessible, not only for the participants, but for the speakers. So you're able to get more esteemed speakers, especially like esteemed lawyers, judges, arbitrators. They usually don't have time to attend live conferences because it's such a hassle. But now everything's virtual, they're more willing to. So that is another opportunity. Okay, the last thing that I want to talk about is mooting. I don't want to talk about it so much. I know, I've been publicized as a moot trainer and I've a lot of mooting experience, but mooting is something I've talked a lot about previously. You can check out my blog about it. But suffice to say, I'll just tell you a bit about virtual mooting now. Unfortunately, a lot of mooting competitions have gone virtual, even just Viz, etc. But again, the upside is just like conferences. Mooting competitions have become more accessible. All you need to do is register, and the registration fee is even cheaper. I mean, for some competitions who are thoughtful enough, So the barrier of entry is lower. So you don't need to think about traveling, finding sponsorship. So it's easier to join mooting competitions. It's not like the real thing, but it's at least something. And it's something that you perhaps wouldn't have the opportunity to join during a normal time. So yeah, I'll stop here and I'll just say that there are a lot of problems with this current pandemic and virtual learning. But I think now that I think about it, there are more opportunities than problems. And, it's better to capitalize on this opportunity while it still lasts. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Raphael. So what an interesting speech. I especially love it when you mention that you totally understand the problem of students, such as the technical problem, academic problem, social problem, and internship problem, because of you are a student as well. But you provide us some solutions, such as be patient to the lecture and mention that a law graduate will be beneficial during this period because law firm will tend to hire the intern because they want to cut costs. And you also advise the student grab any opportunity at home, such as to attend a conference during this period because you think this is a very good time for all the students because it saves a lot of time, such as the travel time and cost because all the things are conducted in virtual. So I believe that students are already benefit and get many information from your speech. And I believe that this is a really good for the law student adapting to the new normal. So thank you so much, Mr. Raphael. So yeah, thank you very much to our panelists for an insightful sharing. Now, if anyone has any questions, I'm sure Mr. Raphael and Ms. Puteri will be pleased to answer them. You may unmute yourself or type your question in the chat box. We could take 2 or 4 questions. So is there any question?
Hello.
Hello.
Excuse me. I have a question to Miss Puteri.
Right.
Can I know what's the application that Miss Puteri used for virtual learning, like the agent stuff?
We developed our own app. So we developed it and then we get the students to name the app. So they have voted and the app it's called Lollipop. Law as L-A-W and Lollipop. But we developed it from scratch. So it's not available out there anymore because it's still at the beta stage, and the purpose of having the mobile app is to assess student basic understanding in terms of a particular area of law before they can retrieve the assignment question. So hence it's not available to the public yet.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
So I'm afraid that those are the only time we have today. So now we'll have the photo section. So could everyone open the camera and the facilitator take the photo, take the group photo. So 1, 2, 3, smile.
Wow. Okay, thank you.
Right, so thank you everyone for participating. We really do appreciate your interest in this very important issue. Also, I would like to thank our panelists. Thank you for your time and sharing. We will be sure to make full use of it and appreciate it so much. Now, we will all be directed to the line room for your next section. Hope to see you all again in the future. Stay safe, everyone.
Bye-bye, thank you.